He is one of our former management students, and he's coming to talk to you about his experience at JSU within the management major and in the management field and where he's projecting to be next. He's so successful, and we're so proud of him. So please give him your undivided attention and enjoy.
All right, good morning, friends. Oh, we can do better than that. Good morning, friends. My name is Sully, and I am a manager at Olive Garden. Who has been to Olive Garden before? Do you like Olive Garden? Okay, I like Olive Garden too because they give me a paycheck. So the biggest thing I'm going to say is that I'm actively a student here at Jacksonville State University. I'm currently in classes. I will graduate in December. So I am just like one of you. Actually, when I was in this class, I sat right over there in that corner because my laptop was typically dead and I had to plug it into the wall. So I was just like y'all. But like I said, I currently work at Olive Garden, and I wanted to come here because I was close to home. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and I actually want to be a part of the band. And I knew that the college business and industry was just something I wanted to get into since I was very, very young. When I was a little kid, I would try to convince my parents to let me do things, buy things, go places through PowerPoints. I would sit in the living room with the PowerPoint and convince them to do this. So this is going to feel really natural to me. So what led me into a career in management? I actually started at Olive Garden 3 years ago as a server. I was hired on the worst availability known to man. They told me in my face, "We don't know if we can hire you because you're available 2 mornings and one Sunday," because I was a Southerner, so I didn't really have time to do anything. I then transferred to the Gadsden Olive Garden when it first opened. I don't know if any of y'all were still around here when it first opened, which was just a couple years ago. But that was an experience. And then I moved to Hoover, Alabama, and I actually ended up commuting to Jacksonville because Hoover wanted to promote me. They made me what's called a service professional, and you can think of that as like an assistant manager. So I didn't have all the things like, oh, I have to make schedules and I have to do all this good stuff. I just got to be a little manager, which kind of was nice being just 19 years old. I got to be a little baby manager. The general manager, Alex Hurd, who currently works at the Douglasville Olive Garden now, was the one who developed me. I give her all of my credit. She was there for me from the very beginning. I can tell you my very first shift that I managed the floor. So I was the one that walked around and it was like, "How's your fettuccine Alfredo? Would you like some more soup?" The servers were really rough on me because that's just how it is. And I left crying on my very first shift, and she let me out the back door and said, "Do not come back until Monday." So with that being said, it's okay to be a 6'2" giant man and still cry. But I owe her a lot of credit to my success. So the student life of me at JSU, professors, classes, coaches, the experiences helped shape you. So freshman to senior year were all very, very different. As a freshman, I lived in Meehan. As a sophomore, I lived in Birmingham and commuted to Jacksonville 3 days a week. And I moved back to Jacksonville my junior year, and then my senior year, I currently live here at the Point. And so it was very different commuting and kind of not having a college life because I focused so much on my career. So my advice in this slide is to tell y'all right now, take the day off. Go out with your friends. You know, that's okay. Take that day off. I didn't take the day off. I actually added more shifts onto my schedule, and I didn't have those times. Right now, you need to make sure you're still having some fun. You have the rest of your life to work. And so it is very, very important that you do that because you can still be developed into what you want to be in your career while still maintaining a perfect work-life balance. Olive Garden is a company that does promote that. Even as a manager, I'm guaranteed 1 weekend off per month. I get 2 days off a week. They cannot call me in unless something crazy happens, like, I don't know, someone else is in the hospital. But for the most part, I get those 2 days off, and I open, mid, and close. So my schedule is kind of different. So I'm able to work my life around that. And someone that's really shaped me is he's actually sitting right over there, Mr. John Sudden. I don't know if any of y'all are in any of his classes, but my freshman year when I made classes at Gamecock Orientation, I saw an accounting class at 6 p.m. at night, and I said, I would rather fall off of Houston Coal than take a 6 p.m. night class. And then I met a girl named Edie Atwell, who has since graduated and moved to Tennessee. And she said, "You've got to take this night accounting class with me." And I said, no, but I did it anyway because I think she went and changed my schedule. I did end up taking it, and it was the best decision of my entire life. There were, what, 15, 20 of us? It was a small class. And we met the second floor of Merrill, 6:15 to 8. And I had accounting isn't necessarily fun, no offense, but he made it fun. And I texted him about my personal finances, and I grew close with him to help coach me through not only my financial side in life, but also navigating through school, helping me make decisions about my career. Is this a good idea? Do you think this is great? And we bonded over cars, except he knows way more than I do. But definitely find you a mentor. It's worth it. So especially when you're in college, it's just really, really important to have that person that you can text for adult advice, because sometimes even if I'm 21 and I have a salary, a 401k, it didn't start like that. I didn't even know what a 401k stood for when I first got to college. I was just like, it's an account. And people talk about that. I actually thought it was a tax form for a very long time. So it's important to have those mentors in your life. You have to be able to have someone that can direct you around that. So what came naturally in management? What was challenging? So my biggest challenge was staying calm and keeping like a chill demeanor. In stress, especially with management, it's sometimes less about managing the people and managing yourself. When it gets tough, everyone looks at you and they're like, what is the leader doing? And if I'm running around in circles, I'm swearing and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm telling you right now, the whole team will fall apart because they realize that the top dog actually has no idea what's going on. I had to learn that because I'm very quick to freak out. But I realized my favorite thing to say is just pasta and sauce. That's it. It's just pasta and sauce. Now, do guests get upset? They do. And I know that y'all have been in a restaurant before and y'all sat there and said, this is disgusting. And you call for a manager. The manager comes over and they get real sweet with you. And sometimes you've seen people yell at other managers. Someone yelled at me before. They called me, I was coming up to the table, and they said, you're a jerk and you're being fake nice. Sir, this is an Olive Garden. Of course I'm being fake nice and I literally don't care. But with that being said, I sat there and I smiled. I said, I'm so sorry. What can I do to make this right? Knowing that nothing that I'm going to do is going to make him happy, except when he leaves. So I comped his whole meal, which was $150. He got a $50 gift card if you wanted him to come back. And he still wrote to corporate about me and said that I will be fired and taken out by the police. Y'all, it is pasta and sauce. At the end of the day, it is soup, salad, and breadsticks. And that whole time, I kept a calm demeanor. I was like, I can't lose it because the whole team is watching me right now. So it's just super important to do that. And also balancing schoolwork with it. So I'm currently in the MIT program, not the really awesome student, but manager and training program, where I have 13 weeks that I will basically train under each different manager. And in 2 weeks, so on the 6th of October, they fly me to Orlando and I go to what's called the Restaurant Support Center, or the mothership. And we do restaurant manager immersion. So I actually get to meet restaurant managers. So if y'all know what Darden is, okay, so there's Olive Garden and then there's Darden, and that's Longhorn, Abe's, Chewy's, Ruth Chris. So it's our parent company. And so we get to meet all of these managers from around the states. I think there's 80 of us, and there's like 20 from Olive Garden. Right now there's 50 from Chewy's because we just got them. But it's just such a fun thing that for 13 weeks, they train you how to be a manager for Olive Garden because every place manages differently. Olive Garden is a specific way they want to get it done. So I'm really excited for that trip. So as a new graduation, did you know the direction you wanted? So now, yes, I did know what I wanted to do. But when I first became like a service professional back in 2023, I didn't want to go into management. I swore up and down I would just be the little baby manager and just get my things done and go home. And then I started seeing the best parts about being a manager. The best part to me right now is that Darden offers tuition reimbursement. So they actually give me $6,000 a year to go to college. All I have to do is make a deal and go through the class. And they just send me a check for $6,000 to go towards any kind of student loans or anything like that. So there are a lot of perks into being a manager. So it's just important to look through stuff like that. But definitely before senior year, I was looking for other opportunities, whatever that could have been. So like I said, I'm still in school, so like it's not really a transition role, but I still have learning opportunities going into management from as a service professional. So one thing that every restaurant, so I was a floating pro, they called me, I went to a bunch of restaurants. I worked in Trustville, Hoover, Cartersville, Georgia, Oxford, Gadsden, and I basically was there to help out. And the hardest thing I had to learn was how to talk to people. If a team, really, it was team members. If a team member did something, and I was like, "What's wrong with you?" I would outwardly say, "What's wrong with you? That's stupid. You can't do that. By the way, don't do that. It's offensive. People get their feelings hurt, and I would get my feelings hurt." Someone was like, "Why would you have done it? Why'd you do this?" And I stopped doing that when I became, I'll talk about it later. I was a new restaurant opening trainer, and a girl was carrying 2 appetizers on a tray, looked dead at me, and just threw them into the wall and fell on the floor. And I asked her, I said, "Friend, what happened? Friend, what happened?" And she said, "I don't know." And just cried and walked out the front door. And I said, and that's the moment I realized, no matter what, I'll clock out. I will go home and this will end and it's okay. I managed the stress. It is so important that you also manage yourself when you're managing others. Any surprises? So the biggest one was always being receptive for coaching. In anyone's role, you want to think that you're an expert. Mr. Shutt over there, I know, is an expert in accounting, but I know that if someone had other advice, you would still listen to it. The same thing is with me. I know a lot about Olive Garden, more than anyone should know about an Olive Garden. Period. The end. I guarantee you, I've looked at more Olive Garden floor plans than any of you would have thought. There's other versions of an Olive Garden. And I've looked at them. There are some in Saudi Arabia that don't serve anything with alcohol in it, which we serve sauces that have wine in it, and they can't serve those sauces. Why do I need to know that? I don't know, but it's a good fact to know. So that's the biggest thing is I always kind of took in that coaching. And the other thing is networking at every event. So I got to be a part of this thing called the Future Legacy Tours for Olive Garden. You need to think, again, this is just an Italian restaurant. And I'm going to Orlando. I was the new restaurant opening trainer, and I went to Future Legacy Tours, where I not only met the president, I met the senior vice president, I met the senior vice president for just my division. My director was there, the head of HR, the head of marketing. All of these people were there, and they wanted to talk to 10 of us and tell us, what do you want to see in Olive Garden? So I will say, if you see a lot of Olive Garden stuff on social media, I'm the one that said they better revamp it because I thought it was embarrassing. But with that being said, I got to network with all these people and I made sure they knew who I was. Because one day I want to be up there with them. I want to work at the restaurant support center as the senior vice president. I want to be there with them. And so I want them to know who I am. So when they see my name come through as a job application, they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's the dude from the Future Legacy Tours. I remember him." So the career journey, how did you progress to get your current role so quickly? I took everything seriously. You think serving is just, I'm just a server. My goal is just to get in, get out, get cut, go home. I didn't do that. I came in early. I stayed late. I went in when they needed me to. I did everything they asked. If they were like, "These drains need to be cleaned," I clocked in as a trainer and I cleaned the drains. They said, "We need a line cook today." Then I learned to cook on the line. I was very receptive to everything. That's where growth starts. You have to look inside these small companies that you think, because no one would think Olive Garden is this big. I didn't think Olive Garden was this big because I rarely ever went there as a kid. And so now I work there. So I'm there 5 days a week. But that's the biggest thing is I worked hard during all of my little shifts. So then people were like, "Oh, that Sully, you're really, really going to like him." Every time I went to a new Olive Garden. So something you have to learn about management is delegating. Does anyone know what delegating is? Someone raise their hand. I haven't asked all the questions. And usually I do that. So I'm not going to point you. Giving out responsibilities. So it's important that as a manager, I have a list of tasks and I'm going to give it to everyone else to do. But you cannot give everyone every task. My opinion as a manager, and this might be controversial, you have to do something too. You can't sit in the office. You can't sit on the floor. My team will not respect me if I don't show that I'm putting in the work. Yesterday, I spent an hour and a half cleaning drains, and I had to get a whole new shirt because I was covered in sludge. It's gross. It happens. Restaurants get gross, but you clean. What you do. But I showed my team that I'll clean these drains, but from here on out, I need you to make sure they stay this clean. But I cleaned them first, so they know that I'll put in the work because I know they'll put in the work. So that's really, really important. Maintaining a safe work environment. This is actually came from my director of operations, who is above my general manager. Think if you had a kid and they went to work at a restaurant, and they come home and they say, "Mommy, Daddy, this guy at work made a really mean comment to me today. He threatened to hurt me. He's scaring me. I don't want to go into work. I will not tolerate it." We had a guest grab us the other day. I said, "Sir, you can't dine in this restaurant. You can't do that." I maintain a safe work environment because at the end of the day, this team is my family and I will protect them. So it's really important that when you're a manager, you're always looking for those things every single time. You can't just go, "Oh, that's just Joe. Joe just does stuff like that." No, Joe's got to go. All right, that rhymed. Okay, but it's important that you do stuff like that because then your team will respect you because they know that you have their back. Again, always pushing to better the team. So this one's kind of a weird one because sometimes you want your team to be great. And so sometimes you aren't the manager that makes the team great. It's just great team members because when they're standing beside each other, they will lift each other up. So make sure you have those all-stars, those aces in their places. So the whole team can see that if we work really well together, we all succeed and we all win. So this is the new restaurant opening in the future, Legacy Tours. I want to tell you all about. So in this bottom, I guess it's the left, that is the new Olive Garden in Cartersville, Georgia. So if you've ever wanted to know what it's like to open a brand new Olive Garden, imagine for 14 hours a day, I'm teaching people. So imagine you're a teacher for 14 hours a day, only running off of the coffee you had that morning from the hotel, no breakfast because it wasn't hot, and 3 Celsiuses because you just keep finding them and they keep handing them to you. I want y'all to know when you walk into an Olive Garden, what happens? "Hey, how are you? How many's in your party today?" Pretty simple, right? I had a cowbell and a pom-pom, and I go, "Woo! Welcome to Olive Garden!" And that was me at 8 in the morning. And then they pulled me aside that night and said I wasn't smiling hard enough, and do I want to keep my job? And I said, "What? I wasn't smiling hard enough?" So then I developed this smile. So from far away, everyone could still see it. But that was a lot of fun. So actually, right here, this is Ashley Spagnola. She's actually a manager. She just got promoted to being a manager at Holcomb Bridge. And this is my friend Megan, and she just got promoted to being a manager in Dawsonville, Georgia. So the biggest thing is the internal promotion. So they were both service professionals. The guy right here in the purple, his name was Tyler Lester. He was a host back in 1990. This lady right here, her name is Sarah Dunn. She was a server back in 2010. So Darden promotes within. So my thing to y'all is look for those companies that you're like, "Oh, well, it's just a part-time job." It doesn't have to be. Some of these jobs have a lot more opportunities in them than you are led on to believe. And so it's really important that you keep looking inside. Keep looking. There is growth. The biggest thing is, once you get your degree with Olive Garden, there's a tab in the, does anyone work for a Darden restaurant? I should ask that. Anyone? Okay, well, cool. So we have an app called Crowd, and Crowd is used for every single Darden restaurant, and there's a job that says jobs for me. And you can actually look for jobs for corporate through Darden Corporate, Olive Garden Corporate, Longhorn Corporate. And it tells you the degree, the experience. There's management, there's HR, there's marketing, there's engineering, and all of these jobs are available from one company. So it is so important to look within every single company. So a day-to-day, the biggest one is, you see, I put it in all caps. Make sure everyone's clocked in. As a manager, my job is to grow sales, don't waste money. Every single day, I want to grow sales because I get a bonus every single quarter on how many sales I grew. And I like going on vacations. And what pays for those vacations? My bonus. And if I don't perform well for my bonus, then, and I get $100, you can't go to Mexico with $100. So I'm not going to do that. So the biggest thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my team members are selling. I'm making sure at every single table, can I get you an Italian margarita, strawberry limoncello margarita, stuffed ziti, fried mozzarella? They're selling to everyone because the more my team sells, the more money we make. The more money we make, the more money that at the end of the day goes into my pocket from purchase earnings growth. So again, small things. I make schedules. I count the produce. I'll count for the truck, and basically other small cleaning tasks, and make sure the restaurant is running. And again, the whole time I'm maintaining a safe work environment. I know you'll have to write 5 facts. Please tell everyone put down, I will maintain a safe work environment. Wherever you go, it is just so important that if you see something, you say something. Never stay quiet. That is just my most important fact for that. So college will always teach you the technical side of management. In all of your management classes, you learn kind of like the foundation to how to be a manager. At work, you learn how to be a manager in the real world. So you're going to apply that. Think of it like when you take a test and it's like one of those super long words, you have to basically decipher it to see what it's asking. That's exactly what management is like. Is on the job experience is not as the same as in the classroom. But in the classroom, we'll teach you how to handle those on the job experiences and expect the unexpected. Do y'all think I expect that guy to call me a jerk? No, very threw me off. And of course it was a Sunday, so I was already stressed out. People are going to be upset, but at the end of the day, I want the guests to always win. I want them to leave thinking that, oh, I will come back to an Olive Garden. I had a guest yesterday said the server made them very upset. Server was off for them, and I apologize. I gave them a gift card. I want to see them again. We want the guests to come back. I never want a guest to leave, go on Facebook, and I know everyone has seen the Longhorn and Oxford post. It kind of got crazy, but it's just very important that I want every guest to leave wanting to come back. So the biggest challenge was learning how everyone operates. So I don't respond as well as maybe Mr. Sutherland responds or Miss Simon responds. All of us respond differently. Some people like direct coaching. Hey, Mr. Sutherland, next time, make sure you bring that 3 breadsticks instead of 4. There are only 3 people at that table. Just make sure you're doing that for me. Direct coaching. Miss Simon might need a compliment sandwich. I might have to say, you are doing so great selling to your table. Next time, make sure we're putting coasters down, okay? Just keep the tables from getting warped. But you're doing phenomenal. Keep up the good work. Make people operate differently. The biggest thing is to say everything with a smile. Never come off as aggressive. I never want to come off. I'm telling someone, oh, you just suck at your job. I'm always going to make sure that they know that I'm here for them. They're doing a phenomenal job, and I want to help them get better. Because if I help my team get better, I get better as a manager, and more money goes into my pocket. So any advice for y'all? So like I said, start looking now. Talk to your career counselor and attend job fairs. The biggest one is to start looking right now. It is so important that right now you're looking for it. You're looking at what the future is going to hold. I didn't when I first started. Like I told y'all, I just kind of simply existed. And I realized that Olive Garden was a lot deeper. These small companies that you think aren't going to do very much for you, they could be funding your college right now. Some of them have an age requirement. Sometimes you do be 21 and up, but it's important to look at these companies now. What's around us? I know we live in Jacksonville, so what do we got going on for us? The mountain and the Grub Mart. So if you have an opportunity, branch out. We're in a prime location. 1.5 Birmingham, 2 hours Chattanooga, 2 more hours Atlanta. Go off and look at these places. Get out into the real world. It's really important that you do this now. So when you graduate, you don't go, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm very fortunate to be 21. I support myself. I own my own car. After this, when I'm going to end up actually moving to Chattanooga, and I'm going to be working in Olive Garden up there. I can get my own apartment. I can afford to feed myself and my fat cat Winston. He's 20 pounds, y'all. He's huge. So I'm very fortunate to do that because I did work hard before. I will start my master's program next fall that I'm super excited about. And with that master's program, I'm going to apply to work for the corporate. I'm going to work for the concentrations in business analytics. And so I'm going to go work for corporate. All that started 3 years ago when I applied to be a server. And they looked at me and said, I don't know because you have horrible availability. 3 years ago, I never would see myself giving a whole lecture on 1, management, or 2, being a manager at Olive Garden. So I'm beyond blessed to say that start looking now because it's going to come up when you least expect it. Like I said, this is the exact same thing I just said. Some important stuff for y'all. Enjoy every second while you're in college. like I said, I loved growing up. I loved being an adult, and I grew up really fast. When I moved to Birmingham, I worked all the time. I didn't see my friends all the time. And part of me does regret that. I left the Southerners because I wanted to do all this stuff. I wanted to be an adult. Look now, but enjoy the time while you're in college. It is so, so important. And I'm letting you know that now. I have zero regrets about what I did, but I want you to say, take the extra day off, go out with your friends, and have fun. Because one day you will have to work your 40 hours a week. You're going to have to work overtime on the weekend, and it's going to happen. But right now, have fun, go out. It's just so, so important. I want that to be known for you. I don't know. Oh, so what's been most rewarding so far? So the people in the company is actually the best. I absolutely love when I get to go into work every day. Actually, I had to go help out in Oxford, and I was there for 3 months, and I had to go back the other day to help them with something. And one of the servers screamed my name from the back door because she saw me cooking, and she was just so excited to see me. And it warmed my heart that I was like, I made this much of an impact on someone's life, all because I'm their manager. And the other side of that is I love rewarding my team. Donut Fridays, every Friday I brought the morning team donuts when I was an opening manager. I did that back when I managed a plant nursery in high school. I was a little part-time manager when I was 16. And I would bring out donuts because I knew that it's back-breaking labor we're about to do. So here's a donut because I'm about to tell you what to do for the next 8 hours. Small things like that go such a long way as a manager. People appreciate that. One of the best stories I've heard from someone was a manager bought the team a new stapler, and a girl started crying because she was so happy that they had a stapler. I would not personally cry over a stapler, but I understand where she's coming from. And also seeing the results from my actions. So you've all eaten at Olive Garden, right? Everyone's eaten at Olive Garden. At the end, y'all pay on that tablet, right? Did y'all know there's a survey at the end? Who all do their survey? Raise your hand. Who all does the survey? Keep your hand up. Okay, so that survey actually determines how good of a restaurant we are. The survey goes directly to corporate. It reports back to us on our refill scores. We take refills so dadgum seriously, it's not even funny. We call the host team refill warriors. I make them go take out fresh salad, fresh bread. They water the garden and bring out fresh drinks for everyone. Because if a guest says, no, I did not get a refill, that puts us lower in the region. And that puts us on a hit list. We have to have a 95% and above. So 95% of guests have to say, I was offered a refill today. Right now, our scores are 93 for soup and salad. So 93% of guests say they got a refill on soup and salad. 88% of guests say they got a refill on bread, which I do believe because we do run out often, but we're working on it. 96% of guests say we got a refill on their beverage. So when y'all skip that survey, but we gave you all the refills, this is me just trying to hype up my own Olive Garden. Please take that survey, y'all. Anytime I get a survey, which might be a bad thing and could compromise my identity, I do take the survey every single time because I never know whose job it could affect. And it's so important because if I get the highest scores in the region, we have this huge banquet dinner we do once a quarter. Our director invites all of us out, and it's really huge. So, like I said, these companies that you really don't think much of, it's just pasta and sauce. It really means a lot to us. Where do you see your career heading next? So like I said, it's going to be the mothership or Olive Garden's corporate offices. So they want to build, I think it's 180 more Olive Gardens before 2030. I think that's how many they want to build. And first of all, I don't know how much more Alfredo we can be giving up to y'all. It's going to start causing heart disease soon. But I want to be a part of that. I want to be the one up top that's like, these are the trainers that need to go there. This is where we need to be putting all this. Oh, that's my alarm to do the critical walks. So we do this thing. So if y'all want to know how good an Olive Garden is, in the morning and the afternoon, I have to walk the entire restaurant, and I have 72 checklists that I have to go through and make sure that everything is tipping correctly. If it's not, I have to throw it away, or I have to call the repair people. So just yesterday, the stuff we keep all of our sauces in was tipping at 100 degrees. So we had to move everything to another side of the restaurant, and we had to call the repair people, which cost us $1,000, which came right out of that bonus. So it looks like I'm not going to Mexico this year. But But back to the goal, I want to work for those corporate offices. I got to meet some of those people, and they're some of the nicest people. Olive Garden has a great thing where they take their general managers out to GM conference, and GM conference was in Las Vegas, Nevada. So for a full week, Olive Garden rented out the Ritz-Carlton for every single one of its GMs. All of Darden did. And they could gamble, they could go see concerts, and then they obviously have conferences talking about the financial year. But that's kind of huge, and I would love to be a part of that. I want to be the one on the stage though. And then I can say like, oh, by the way, I used to just be a server back in the day. So asking managers right now what steps you can take to advance in your career. We call it grow your career. And we have a meeting every quarter, and anyone that wants to be a manager goes to it, and we talk about the next steps. The first step is becoming a certified trainer. Before you can manage a bunch of people, can you manage two? Can you manage two new hires that need to learn how to do their job? I have trained over 400 people across every single Olive Garden I've worked at. I trained a girl that actually couldn't read, which was as hard as you think it is. And I've trained who are now my best friends. So I started there, and then I became a pro, and then I became a manager. And so it's really important that I was always in contact with my general manager, letting her know, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. And they'll work with you. And if not, transfer to another location. Someone's going to want to work with you on it. Because Oxford didn't want to make me a trainer. Gadsden didn't either. But Hoover took a chance on me, and they said, he's going to be good. And now I'm a manager. So it's really important to find those people who are going to push you up. Okay, any questions for y'all? I told y'all I'd make it early. It's 10:32. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
What's the most common challenge you have to face when managing people
Like day to day or just in general?
in general?
The hardest thing I have to face is sometimes you hear things from those people, family life, home life, and like part of my brain is like, oh my God, I'm short 7 servers. Why are you telling me this? And the other side of my brain goes, oh my God, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I have servers all the time. I had someone in Hoover be like, I think my ribs are broken because I fell down the stairs. I said, I am 19. What? And then I asked if she wanted to go home, which I should have asked if she wanted to go to the hospital. But I'm 19. What was I supposed to say? And so you have to sit there and like, you have to have empathy. And that's so hard because part of you is a manager and part of you is a human. And you have to blend those together. And another one up front. Yes.
Okay, so since you're still in college,
Mhm.
still the college process, what would you say ethically and with business and management would you like to see coming with internship with students that are freshmen and sophomore?
So like you're asking about like internships in.
Like just anything, so I'm going in for accounting, so
Mhm.
like usually higher ups would like to see something that comes with basics, with ethics with students.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. So you want to know about internships or ethics?
A little bit of
A little bit of both. Okay, so internships, one, talk to your career counselor. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I talk to mine, they will literally line you up and email you a list for internships. Ethics wise, there is, I don't know if y'all are at that point, there is classes you will take on ethics, and business ethics. And it is so important you pay attention. Because there are things that you will go, well, don't do this, don't do this. But I still remember the threat triangle.
Fraud trial.
Fraud triangle. I still remember that to this day. And you can apply it everywhere. So it is just so important that you make the good ethical decisions now because you don't want to be young and already have a record to your name of things that you did in your smaller jobs. Like, oh, I just stole $200 out of the drawer. $200 is not worth it, y'all. First of all, where are you going to go on $200? Take the safe. No, I'm just kidding. But start with your ethical decisions. Start now. And then remember them because they'll ask you in interviews an ethical dilemma. How would you handle it? And there is a right answer. Every single time there is a right answer. And so that's really important. But with internships, one, get with the professors that are in that field. It's really important. And the other one is meet with your career counselor. And look local. I never knew I could be a new restaurant opening trainer. I had no idea. And that was a mix of management and training because you're managing, I had 75 new servers. And literally the first day of friends. Also, if you ever find a brand new Olive Garden, I'll tell you a little secret. Don't tell anyone. There are 3 days where they will give you free food. It's called Friends and Family. If you can get in, so Pell City's going to open in March. If you all know someone that works at Pell City Olive Garden, you can get in on the guest list. And you can, up to 4 guests can get free Olive Garden food. And if you drink alcohol, all the proceeds go to charity, which is kind of awesome. So that's just a little fun fact for y'all today. But what other questions do we have?
So with your personality, with your outgoing personality, is it something you have to build over time or were you just naturally?
Do you think I was naturally born with this?
He came out day one in class.
Yes, so naturally I've always been outgoing. You do have to control it because sometimes it can come off as like, rah, like I'm just so excited. And it's like a chihuahua is just jumping at you and they're just like, hey, it's 8 a.m, shut up. But with that being said, you can grow that personality. And sometimes managers, you don't have to be super outgoing. I think the best managers are the ones that can effectively get their message across. I think that's so much more important because you're always gonna have a manager like me on the shift that's dancing up and down the alley. I got the whole team to do flex the other day in the alley. So when I tell y'all, you'll have that manager. Not everyone has to be the outgoing manager because if they all are, that's gonna be a crazy Olive Garden. But it's important to have a mix. If you have a mix of personalities and all your managers are different, all the perspectives will be different and your whole company will be better. Who else have a question? I don't know. I just yap a lot. But like I think the biggest thing is I was never afraid to talk to someone. That was the biggest thing. I was never afraid to talk to someone. And that's because for a very brief period, I sold cars. I know, crazy sideways. I did sell Fords for a good 3 months. So if you also want to know about a Ford, I pretty much know what you know about that. But that taught me the most. So usually there is a catalyst event that like flips the switch, and that's what happened to me. To sell a car, to eat essentially, because you work strictly off commission. I had to walk up to strangers and be like, "Hi, my name is Sully. I see you're interested in our Ford Bronco. What parts about it do you like? Would you like to take it for a test drive?" People I don't even know. And so that was what was really important. And there's a lot of classes you'll take, marketing and management classes that you just have to give presentations on a win. I have a professor, Dr. Coco. We have to give like a presentation every single class, but we don't know what it's on. And so it was just kind of like you just kind of learn and you start getting good at it. So it's just really important to take those small learning opportunities and go with them. Who else? Is there one over here? I think my favorite one was I had to do a video project for our class, and I was able to demonstrate like I could edit videos as well as I think I gave a whole presentation on like the Apple Watch. I think is what it was. But it put me in a group of 4 people, which I didn't even know who they were, and now we still talk to this day. So it taught me those communication skills because I don't know these people, and now I'm like, can y'all please come over to my apartment so we can film this video? And so I was able to grow my communication skills and my leadership because I headed the project. I was the group leader, so like I had to figure it out. So it was really important. I think that was probably my best project was that video. What else we got?
What's your previous experience?
So this is so funny. I was a boba barista. So I made boba drinks at my hometown. My lead drink was called the Honey Dude, and it was a honey dude peach lemonade. And I wanted to be a shift lead there so bad, but I ended up moving to college, so I couldn't be a shift lead. I was there, and I worked at a place called Mooyah with my dad. Mooyah's like Five Guys, except way more expensive. But we were in Hoover, Alabama. They can afford it. And then I worked at a plant nursery all through high school. So it was called Barton's Greenhouse and Nursery. And the lady, I think, went to our church. I don't know. And she was like, my grandma was like, hey, go apply for your job. The day I started, I had the worst sinus infection of my entire life. And I worked outside in the heat for 8 hours. Was the worst experience of my life. But I still talk to her to this day. And bonus, when I quit, she gave me a check for $1,000 and said, for a job well done. And I think it was repercussions from when I've gotten hurt and she didn't have any Band-Aids. Definitely think it was repercussions. So if I ever tried to sue her, she's like, I give you a check. But all of those jobs, and of course, like the selling Fords, I know that was so random that I did that. But that all kind of built me who I am today. All of these different experiences and college, and being in marching band. I was a drum major in high school. So I like all of these different experiences. My biggest thing is get out there. Don't just sit in your dorm room like, oh, I don't want to go to this event because I don't know anyone. Good, then you're the prime candidate to make a new friend. When we got to college, my best friend Hannah, who I've known since I was 3, was like, you have to make a friend and bring them back to our friend group. And we made our group go from 3 to 9 in one day because we started all making friends. So get out of your room, get out of your bedroom, go to an event that SGA is holding, meet people. You never know who the person you're going to talk to might be a mentor for you or a best friend. Anyone else? I think the fun part, and it's also the most challenging, is expecting the unexpected. No 2 shifts are the same. Just last week, 15 metal pans fell off a shelf, hit a team member in the head, and I know, crazy, right? Hello. And I was like, what do I do? So I call like everyone, basically, that's in my phone that's worked for Olive Garden. I'm like, who am I supposed to talk to? And I was on the phone with corporate for like an hour, and like she's obviously fine. She's at the hospital. She's good. But it was a Tuesday. Like I was like, it's why are we doing this on a Tuesday, y'all? And literally an hour before that, I was at the Taste of Gadsden, which is like some food event, and I was serving food to Dr. Botiford, surprisingly enough, like people that work for the school. And I was serving food to them, and then I had to go deal with that when I got back to the restaurant. So it's hard in the fact of like, I have to sit here and just go, huh? But also maintain a calm demeanor. Like I know what I'm doing because like when she saw me, I was calm. I got a solution and she left and she was fine. But I'm shaking, but I can't show them that. Managers can have bad days, but sadly, you can't really show it. That team is looking at you for advice and for leadership. You have other managers you can confide in and the shift will always end. But you have to make sure that when you're in front of the team, you're one, keeping a calm, cool composure, as well as the most important one, I should have already mentioned this. Don't spread other teams' information. So like if someone tells you those like really personal details, we don't go tell other people that. You have to manage your own thoughts. Make sure you're not going and telling people, hey, by the way, this is what we did. And this is what so-and-so said. No need for all of that. Anyone else?
How do you build patience?
I'm like the most impatient person in the world. Like, if it takes longer than 2 days shipping on Amazon, I'm angry. So like viscerally angry, and I will go to Walmart and spend double the amount just because I don't want to wait. The way to learn patience is to remember that they're not on my clock, I'm on theirs, and I need to be okay with that. And again, it takes training. It's hard, but it's important that you sit here and you're like, it's gonna be okay because it's just pasta and sauce. What's your other question?
You bring coupons?
I did not because y'all, I know, look, I'm sorry. I actually tried to convince my GM to let me bring a bunch of breadsticks. And he was like, what are you gonna do? Meet him up in the morning? And I said, yes. But no, I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't bring anything. And we just started the coupon thing actually, that we give out free boats of sauce to people. But right now, I will say, not to hit on Olive Garden again, it is the never-ending pasta bowl season. So if you want never-ending soup, never-ending salad, never-ending breadsticks, as well as never-ending pasta, for $13.99, you can have as much pasta as you could humanly stomach. For $17, you can add a protein on there and also have that. If you know who the 20 J's are, they have a pasta bowl challenge where they come into Olive Garden and they eat as many as they can stomach. I think the most I've ever heard of was 9 pasta bowls. Yeah, it's a lot of pasta, but that's the most I've ever heard of in Olive Garden. I was not, no, I actually served the 20 J's. I was the server and they kept asking for more and I was like, where are they putting it? Because I did the Olympic Impossible Challenge. I got through 2 bowls and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it home. And he had 8 or 9 and I was like, is he okay? I think we had, I texted him when I got home and I was like, did you make it home? And he was like, barely. So that is, I don't know how anyone does it. Cause some people come into Olive Garden and they'll be like, I want 9 bowls of soup. And I'm like, dude, I can only get through 2, but good for you. I'll keep bringing them out. Anything else? Oh, no.
I'm gonna stand up, okay? Not a question, but I'm gonna make a comment to the class. I hope what you guys have seen so far, this for an instructor, for someone who serves as mentor, this is our return on investment, okay? Not that everyone has to have Sully's personality, but I hope you see what investment in himself, as well as relying on building healthy relationships can do for you. Never discounting the small details, the small experiences, and the relationships you built. No one has gotten Sully the job or career, but he has built relationships that have created bridges to the current opportunities he has, as well as where he's going. So don't discount a principal accounting one night class. You never know who you're going to meet there. Don't discount taking time for our career advisors. You've also got other faculty in here. We can't create your future for you, but we can help guide you along the path. So this is your investment. You have roughly 4 years here. Just merely attending class won't get it. When you go above and beyond, when you're willing to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, you can have these kind of experiences. So I just wanted to personally, how proud I am of you. And this is the first, I hope, many of those success stories. We want you all coming back and sharing with our classes. He has as much, if not more influence on you all than anything I can share in my career. So thank you for what you're doing, Sully.
Remember, I'm 21. Like, I turned 21 in December. I turned 22 this December. I'm close to your age. I'm not a 42-year-old man that just came in here and preached about the Olive Garden deal. I was the one that was marching on the field. I went to Brothers. Like, I did all of those things. I had my fun, but I also, because I believe in working hard and playing hard. You've got to work hard. And you don't have to be exactly like me. Actually, I think I specifically said, don't be just like me. If there was, look, you would know, what if there were 2 of me in your night classes?
We would have cut it in half.
Okay, well, and that's awesome. And so I love my personality. I love that when my team sees me, they know how much I love them. But at the same time, I was one of you at some point. I was sitting in a lecture hall thinking, I actually have no idea what I'm going to do once I get out of here, but I'll figure it out. And I did figure it out. And now I'm here. So before we end, any other questions?
How did you build those friendships and relationships with other servers in like management when you were a server?
So it's kind of crazy. As a manager, it's called fraternization. I can't hang out with team members outside of work. So like if let's just say like one of my team members was in this class, I would have to text my DM and be like, by the way, I saw so-and-so, nothing happened. But as a server to server, you go through, it's low-key trauma bonding. Like, you go through really hard times together. Serving is hard. There's people, especially at Olive Garden, they ask for 1,000 different refills. You forget something. And at the end of the day, you both clock out and you go home. And so that was the biggest thing. Also, food swaps. My best friend worked at Longhorn. I worked at Olive Garden. And so she would get me a ribeye. I'd get her a chicken Alfredo. And so that's what would cultivate those friendships. And then we have a study date together. And so that's basically what I did is I started doing, and on top of that, I got out of my dorm room and did something. Like, it is so important to go out and do something. If you stay in your room all the time, first of all, I lived in Meehan, not the big concourse side, the little shoebox side. So like, I would have gone insane in those 4 little walls. Go out and meet someone, talk to a stranger, see someone sitting on the couch, sit with them. You never know who could be your next best friend. My best friend, her name is Savannah Bell Saint. If you are in Delight Ministries, she is one of the people there. She's actually born 20 minutes after me, and like same day, same year, same everything. And she's my best friend, and we have the same major. So, and I met her because I served with her in Olive Garden. And now we're in classes together. So it's just so important that these places that you are make connections, because the reason I have Sudden, what if he heard about an opportunity for me at a job? Hey, I think you'd be great for this. Sends you the application. You never know who you're going to talk to. That could potentially lead to your next career. Anything else?
Questions? Let's see, Mr. Heller. There's something else he didn't mention, and we haven't really focused on, but we're going to, when we start our in-depth review of management, there's a big difference between being a manager and being a leader. And I think it's obvious for all of us here at what an amazing leader you are. And we're so proud to have you as a student and soon to be graduate. And I don't even think you mentioned, I know you mentioned you're getting your MBA in analytics.
Business analytics.
And you didn't mention, it's okay if we mention the salary, starting salary.
Yeah, so if you didn't have a college degree, it's around $55,000 a year plus bonuses. If you do have it, it's $62,500 a year plus bonuses, which make it to be about $72,000 a year. General managers can make anywhere from $100,000 to $125,000 a year after bonuses. So it's very rewarding if a restaurant does very well.
And in the analytics part that you're going to.
Oh, the analytics side. It's I was like, which one? The restaurant manager side? Oh, the business analytics one is $125,000 starting pay.
Sully, gosh, if you want to hang out, is it okay if we hang out a little bit
Yeah.
afterwards? You can come meet and greet my class. You will have a quiz. I'll post it by 11:30. It'll be available to you then. Again, if you have any questions, you're welcome to come down here. Sully, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming out on a Friday. I'm sweating. It was getting hot.
I know it gets hot up there.
Yeah, no problem.
That was